Hello, I'm Kenny Lee Burgess and welcome to my first instructional video on YouTube about bottleneck guitar. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to answer some general information questions from people who have written me over the past few months. First, I'd like to say that you could play bottleneck guitar on any guitar, any steel string guitar. You really don't have to do any special setup. Most guitars that you play in a standard way, the action is good. And what I mean by that is that the height from the string height from the fingerboard. You don't have to do anything special like put in a nut extender or raise the bridge at all. The one thing you might have to do though is you might have to be concerned about the string gauge that you use. If you're going to use the same guitar for standard tuning and open tuning that's mainly used in bottleneck, you want to have at least a medium gauge string. And medium gauge strings run from 13 on the high string to 56 on the low string. That way when you do tune down, you'll have enough tension on the strings to play bottleneck. But if you have two guitars, maybe one's a resonator or another regular guitar, you could string it totally different. If you're going to play in lower tunings, and the lower tunings would be D, G, or C, you'd put heavier strings on. And heavier gauge strings run from about a 16 to a 56. Now the one thing, of course, if you put heavy strings on, you can't tune that guitar up to standard, so it'll just be for lower tunings. But because of the thicker strings, you'll have more tension, you'll get a better tone. Another way to go is if you want to tune up above standard, and that would be, say, in keys of E and A, you put lighter strings on. So you put a light gauge string, and they run from about 11 or a 12 to a 54. And then you could tune up. Now the one thing I do, just to get a little more tone, because a lot of the bottleneck is played on the high strings, I'll substitute the two high strings, and what I'll do is I'll put a 13 on for the E, and I'll put a 17 on for the B, and I could still tune up. In that way, I'll get a nice clear tone. In some cases, with the lighter gauge strings, you could tune down to the lower tunings and it'll still play well. You'll still have enough tension, but you kind of have to experiment around. The next thing I'll talk about is slides. It's always the big controversy what to use, glass or metal. I'd say buy different slides and experiment and see what you like. I use both. But what I'd say in general is about glass is you want thick glass. Like for instance, this is from a Grey Goose bottle, so you can see it's a very thick glass. Or this I made back in '84 out of a Mateus wine bottle, and I don't even think they make this bottle anymore, but it's nice thick glass. Or here's another one a friend made from an Italian wine bottle, so you could see. Or you could buy them. Here's the reproduction of the Duane Allman Coracedon bottle, which does work nice, but it's a little light. Good for electric guitar, but heavier would be better for acoustics. Or medicine bottles, you can find these in the flea market. For metal, good heavy brass slides are good. Or here's one of my friend made. He's a machinist out of titanium. Made it look like a bottle. Again, you just want thick, heavy glass. And the length, some people ask, how long should it be? You can experiment. Some people like very short because they just want to play lead lines, or other people like it a little longer so they can cover all 6 strings. And again, you have to shop around to find what size you like. I like to wear my slide on the pinky and use these fingers to fret notes. Other people like to put it on this finger and they can use their pinky. So it's really up to you what works best. The last thing I like to address is finger picks. There's two kinds. There's metal and there's plastic. The one thing about the metal is when your fingers get sweaty, they seem to come off. The plastics stay on a little tighter and are actually a little longer, so it's a little easier to reach into the strings. So again, you just have to experiment. And pretty much you just wear a thumb pick on your thumb, of course, and you wear 2 finger picks, one on the index and one on the middle. And that's all you really need to do the basic style that's used in banjo playing and bluegrass playing. And just in closing, like I said, you could play it on any type of guitar. You can see here I have an old Stella from about the 30s. The action's a little high on that, so it's a little hard to fret notes. Here's my 1935 National that I had rebuilt. I had a new neck put on it because the old neck was lifted. And here's a Stella copy that a friend of mine made. I primarily use this for just regular playing. But I hope this helps a little bit, and please write your comments and I'll answer any questions you have. In the next lesson I'm going to talk about basic technique and how to get a clean tone and some basic theory on how I approach playing slide. So thanks again. See you next time.